Have you ever sat quietly, maybe with a cup of tea in hand, and wondered how much time do I really have left? I know it's not a question we like to dwell on, but it comes up especially as we get older. Maybe you've just celebrated your 65th birthday, or perhaps you're 72 and noticing a few more aches and pauses in your step. And suddenly that question isn't so abstract anymore. It's personal. It's real. I want to tell you something today, not to alarm you, but to empower you. Because the truth is, while none of us can see the exact number of days on our calendar, science and medicine have actually gotten quite good at predicting longevity. Not perfectly, of course, but there are certain signs, simple tests really, that can offer a surprising glimpse into how well your body is aging on the inside. And don't worry, I'm not here to tell you to run a marathon or adopt some extreme diet. These 5 tests are easy, non-invasive, and you can even do most of them right at home. They've been studied in large research projects around the world from the UK to the US, and they're often used quietly by doctors to gauge what they sometimes call your biological age, which, by the way, isn't always the same as the number on your birthday cake. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 simple but powerful tests that could help predict how long you'll live. And more importantly, they might tell you how well you're living today. These aren't just about extending life, they're about improving the quality of life. Because what's the point of adding years if they're not full of energy, joy, and clarity? By the end of this video, I promise you'll know how to check for yourself some of the strongest predictors of healthy aging. And if you see an area that needs improvement, don't worry, I'll also share small, realistic changes you can make to stay sharp, strong, and active well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. All right, let's dive in. The first test might surprise you. It has nothing to do with cholesterol and everything to do with how well you can get off the floor. Test 1, the sitting rising test. Let's start with one of the most fascinating and surprisingly accurate predictors of longevity, the sitting rising test, or SRT. This test became popular after a study in Brazil followed over 2,000 adults aged 51 to 80 for more than 6 years. And what they found was remarkable. People who scored lower on this test, meaning they struggled to sit down on the floor and get back up without support, were significantly more likely to die earlier than those who performed it well. Here's how it works. Stand upright in a clear space, barefoot if possible. Now, without using your hands, knees, or any support, try to sit down on the floor. Then just as smoothly, rise back up to a standing position. Every time you use a hand, forearm, or knee to help yourself, you lose a point. The maximum score is 10-5 for sitting and 5 for rising. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I haven't sat on the floor since the Beatles were topping the charts. And that's okay. This test isn't a judgment. It's simply feedback. If you try it and realize you need a hand or a knee to help you up, that's your body telling you something. It's saying, hey, we've lost a bit of balance, strength, or coordination over the years. And that's valuable to know because those are all things we can work on. What's so important about this test isn't just the physical motion, it's what it represents. Being able to sit and rise without support requires core strength, leg power, flexibility, balance, and body awareness. Those are the exact traits that protect us from falls, which especially after 70 can be devastating. In fact, falls are one of the leading causes of injury-related death in older adults. So if you're able to get up and down easily, fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. But if it was a struggle or not even possible, don't feel discouraged. You can start small. Gentle yoga, tai chi, or even chair exercises can rebuild the muscles and balance needed. Just 5 minutes a day can start turning things around. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. It's awareness and progress. You don't have to be able to do this like a gymnast, but regaining some of that functional strength can help you stay independent, mobile, and vibrant for years to come. All right, let's move on to the second test. And this one has to do with something we all do, but may not be doing quite right anymore. Walking. Test 2. Gait speed. Walking speed. Let's talk about walking. Something so ordinary, so automatic that we hardly even think about it until it starts to change. But here's something many people don't know. Your walking speed is one of the strongest predictors of how long you'll live. Doctors and researchers call this gait speed, and it's been studied extensively. In fact, one large study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that older adults who walk faster had significantly lower mortality rates. And we're not talking Olympic speed walking here, just a difference of 0. 1 meters per second in your walking pace can reflect a real difference in health and survival. So what does this mean for you? Try this simple at-home test. Measure out a distance of about 13 to 15 feet in a straight line, that's roughly 4 meters. Walk that distance at your usual pace, not rushing, but not strolling either. Time yourself. Then divide the distance by your time in seconds. You want a walking speed of about 1 meter per second or more. That's about 3.3 feet per second. If your walking speed is slower than that, it could mean your body is losing some strength or coordination. It may also reflect issues with balanced muscle mass or even early cognitive decline. Walking is one of those whole-body activities. It engages the brain, the nervous system, the heart, and the muscles all at once. So when it starts to slow down, that can be a red flag. Now, if you've always been a slow walker, don't panic. The key here is change over time. If you've noticed you used to walk briskly around the grocery store, and now you need to lean on the cart more often, that's a sign worth paying attention to. Here's the good news. Walking speed is very responsive to change. Just by walking a little more each day, especially on uneven surfaces or outdoors, you can improve it. You're not just training your legs, you're stimulating your brain and cardiovascular system too. And walking with purpose, even for 10 minutes a day, has been linked to better mood, sharper memory, and you guessed it, longer life. So the next time you go out for a stroll, think of it as more than just a walk. Think of it as a daily check-in on your longevity. Now are you ready for the third test? This one's a bit different, and it involves one of the most underappreciated tools for predicting your health, your grip strength. Test 3, grip strength. Let's move on to something that might surprise you, grip strength. Yes, your handshake or how firmly you can squeeze something may tell more about your health than your blood pressure. In fact, research from both the US and Europe has consistently shown that lower grip strength is linked with higher risk of heart disease, mobility decline, and even early death. It's one of the simplest ways to measure overall muscle health. And even more interestingly, it's often used by doctors as a quick gauge of aging. Why does grip strength matter so much? Think about it, our hands connect us to the world. Whether it's opening a jar, holding onto a handrail, carrying groceries, or even just steadying yourself when standing up, grip strength supports independence. Weak grip, that can be a signal that overall muscle tone is declining. And when muscle loss starts creeping in what we call sarcopenia, it can have a domino effect on your ability to stay active, avoid falls, and maintain a vibrant life. Here's how to test it at home. The gold standard is using a device called a hand grip dynamometer, which you can find online or in some fitness clinics. But don't worry if you don't have one. You can do a rough version yourself. Grab a household object like a tennis ball, a soft rubber ball, or even a rolled-up towel. Squeeze it with your full hand as hard as you comfortably can for a few seconds, then release. Now rate your effort. Was it firm, strong, weak? Could you feel your forearm muscles working, or did your hand tire quickly? Studies suggest that for people over 65, men should have a grip strength above 26 kilograms, around 57 pounds, and women above 16 kilograms, around 35 pounds. But even if you don't have a precise number, you'll know if it feels weaker than it used to. What can you do if your grip isn't what it used to be? Simple exercises can help. Squeezing a softball regularly, doing light dumbbell curls, even carrying your groceries with intention can build hand and forearm strength. And what's beautiful about this, as your grip improves, so does your confidence. You'll notice little wins, twisting off lids, picking up heavier pots, opening that stubborn pickle jar without calling for help. It's not just about muscle, it's about independence. And that's priceless. Ready for the fourth test? It might be the easiest of all and yet incredibly telling. It's about something you already do all day, every day, your resting heart rate. Test 4, resting heart rate RHR. Now let's talk about the engine that keeps everything going, your heart, specifically your resting heart rate, or RHR. This one's simple, but it tells us a lot. Your resting heart rate is the number of times your heart beats per minute when you're completely at rest, like when you're sitting calmly or lying in bed. It's a direct reflection of how efficiently your heart is working. And here's what decades of studies have shown: a lower resting heart rate is generally associated with longer life, especially in older adults. Think of your heart like the engine of a car. If it's working too hard, even when idle, it wears down faster. But if it beats steadily and efficiently at rest, that's a sign your cardiovascular system is in good shape. So how do you test this? You can do it manually or with a device like a fitness tracker or smartwatch. If you're doing it by hand, sit or lie down quietly for a few minutes. Then place 2 fingers, usually your index and middle finger, on your wrist or the side of your neck. Count the number of beats you feel in 15 seconds, then multiply that by 4. For most healthy adults, a normal resting heart rate is between 60 and 100 beats per minute. But here's the key: the lower end of that range is typically better, especially for older adults. In fact, many doctors consider 60 to 70 beats per minute ideal for longevity. Some lifelong athletes may even have a resting heart rate in the 50s. If your resting heart rate is consistently above 80 or 90, it doesn't mean something's terribly wrong, but it may be worth having a chat with your doctor. It could reflect stress, dehydration, poor sleep, or other underlying issues that you can work on. And here's the good news: you can lower your resting heart rate naturally. Regular walking, meditation, breathing exercises, and getting good sleep all help your heart relax. Even reducing your daily caffeine intake can make a difference. Remember, your heart has been with you from the very beginning. It's been pumping faithfully for decades without a break. A little care and attention now can go a long way toward giving it the gentle rhythm it deserves in the years to come. All right, we've got one final test to talk about. This one is a little different. It doesn't measure strength or stamina, but something just as important: your sense of purpose and mental clarity. Test 5, purpose and mental sharpness. Let's take a pause from the physical test for a moment and talk about something just as powerful: your mind. More specifically, your mental clarity and your sense of purpose. You might be surprised to learn that both of these are strong predictors of how long and how well you'll live. Let's start with purpose. In recent years, researchers have found that having a strong sense of purpose, something that gets you out of bed in the morning, can actually add years to your life. One well-known study published in Psychological Science followed thousands of adults over many years. The result: people with a greater sense of purpose were less likely to die regardless of their age, income, or overall health. And it doesn't have to be a grand purpose like saving the world. It can be something as simple as caring for a pet, tending to your garden, mentoring someone younger, or learning something new. The key is that you feel needed, you feel like you matter, that there's still something meaningful left to do. Now let's talk about mental clarity. As we age, many of us worry about our memory, our attention span, or feeling foggy. And that's perfectly normal, but sudden or consistent changes in cognitive function can be an early sign that something is off, whether that's stress, sleep deprivation, poor diet, or in some cases, early signs of cognitive decline. There's a very simple test that's used in clinics around the world, and you can try a version of it at home. It's called the clock drawing test. Here's how it works. Take a blank sheet of paper and draw a circle. Then, without looking at a real clock, try to fill in the numbers as if it were a clock face 1 through 12. Now, set the hands to 10 minutes past 11. Sounds easy, right? But this simple task engages multiple parts of your brain memory: spatial reasoning, motor control, and attention. If you do it easily, great. That's a good sign of cognitive sharpness. If you struggle with the layout or misplace the numbers or hands, it might be a sign to check in with your doctor, not to panic, but just to be proactive. What's important to know is that mental sharpness can be protected and even improved. Reading, puzzles, music, learning new skills, and staying socially connected are all fantastic ways to keep your mind engaged. Even regular walks in nature or phone calls with loved ones help maintain brain health. So ask yourself, what gives my life meaning right now? What activity, person, or purpose keeps me going? If you don't have a clear answer, that's okay. The act of searching for meaning is meaningful in itself. Volunteer, create, share stories, learn something new. You're never too old to grow mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And as we now know, having a reason to live might be one of the biggest reasons you'll keep living. So here we are. We've talked about 5 surprisingly powerful tests that can offer clues about how long and how well you might live. None of them involve fancy machines or high-tech scans. They're simple, human, and deeply connected to the kind of life we all want to live, one that's strong, independent, meaningful, and joyful. Let's recap quickly. The sitting rising test, a window into your balance, flexibility, and muscle strength. Walking speed, your pace today may reflect your longevity tomorrow. Grip strength, a silent measure of your overall vitality. Resting heart rate. Your heart's quiet rhythm can reveal a lot about your inner health. Purpose and mental clarity, because a sharp mind and a reason to wake up every morning are as essential as any muscle in your body. Now here's the thing, these aren't pass-fail tests. They're signposts. They're gentle nudges from your body and mind that say, hey, let's take a closer look. Let's keep going strong. If you found that 1 or 2 of these areas could use improvement, I want you to know you're not behind. You're right on time. The very fact that you're watching this, reflecting on your health, and thinking about your future, that already puts you ahead of the curve. Most people don't stop long enough to ask these questions, but you did. And that means you have the power to change direction, to adjust course, to keep your body and mind in motion. No, you don't need to become a marathon runner or a yoga master. What you do need is consistency. A short daily walk, a few minutes of balance exercises, a small habit of mindful breathing, a phone call to a friend, a notebook where you write down 3 things you're grateful for every morning. These small acts, repeated day by day, build a life that's not just longer, but richer, more present, more full of the things that make life worth living: connection, strength, clarity, and joy. And please remember, longevity isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. So, my friend, if there's one message I hope you take with you today, it's this: your health is not fixed. It's not too late, and the little things matter. Try one of these tests tomorrow morning. Reflect on how you feel. Then, take one small step in a healthier direction. Maybe it's 5 extra minutes of walking. Maybe it's choosing water instead of soda. Maybe it's just standing up from your chair without using your hands just once. Every single step counts. And if you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone you care about, because the people we love deserve to live longer. Fuller lives too. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Stay curious, stay active, and most of all, stay hopeful, because your best years might still be ahead of you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.